In this video, I'm going to talk about 17 phrases that you might hear from a narcissist, a master manipulator, or an emotionally abusive person, used to hide or distract you from their bad behaviour. These phrases are used to distort the truth and have the other person, like yourself, question if there's something wrong with you and not the abuser. This is crazy making behaviour. And they use tactics to deflect from their behaviour, making you feel that you're mentally unstable or that you're overreacting. And for people healing from these toxic relationships, this can cause emotional confusion and anxiety. And eventually you start to wonder what's happening and if you can trust your own judgment. Welcome to the Divorce Sanctuary. I'm Elizabeth, author of Finding Lily and the A to Z of Emotional Abuse. On this channel, I talk about healing from emotional abuse and divorcing emotionally from the abuser. I want to remind you that love should be unconditional and divorcing emotionally is life-changing. You have a duty of care to yourself, and that should be your mantra. I want you to understand and process what's happening inside you and help you discover the best tools to heal on a deeper level, becoming the best version of yourself. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, share it if you're able to, and if you're returning, welcome back and thank you. And I just want to say that everything that I talk about or describe in this video, you will find in the description box below. 17 phrases you might hear from a narcissist, a master manipulator, or an emotionally abusive person that's used to hide or distract you from their bad behaviour. This is not to be used as a diagnostic tool. I'm not going to say this video is for entertainment purposes only, because nothing about this behaviour is entertaining. If you believe that you're being manipulated, please reach out to a professional who can help you break away from the toxic relationship and help you set and keep strong boundaries. There are 17 phrases in this video. However, I did actually start out with 22 and I merged a few. You might have other things that you've heard that are manipulative or that have been used to gaslight you or blame shift. Please put them in the comments section and share with other people your experience. And if you stay to the end, as always, I'm going to share with you some ways, some tools that you can add into your little toolbox to help with your recovery and your journey. There's usually only one reason a person would go to the lengths to convince someone else into taking the blame. That's usually to do with a very fragile person who doesn't like themselves. The truth is, they are very insecure people, and the only way they feel whole and worthy is that when they're in control of situations and of others. They live in a fantasy world where they can do and say anything. They lead with their childhood wounds, play victim, and tap into parts of you that want to heal and nurture them. And gradually, like a bindweed, they take over your life, your finances, your hopes, your dreams. And when they've exhausted everything, they move on. Or they have moved on long before you realise. The narcissist, master manipulator, emotional abusers are compulsive liars. And they use gaslighting and blame shifting and other techniques as a way to gain power and control over other people. They convince them that they're right and that the other person's perception of what happened was wrong. They dismiss their feelings, their needs. They minimise or erase the abuse that took place, playing the victim, evading responsibility, and fabricating conversations or events that never happened. And you're left feeling that you're the crazy one and there's something wrong with you. The first one you might recognise as a gaslighting tool. If you hadn't, and then they proceed to explain if you hadn't gone out with friends, if you hadn't ignored them, if you hadn't gone shopping, if you hadn't gone to the wedding, they wouldn't have had to go seeking attention or be flirting with someone else or doing whatever they were caught doing. It's blame shifting. It's your fault. If you had your focus on them and not on somebody else, they wouldn't have done this bad thing. The second one, again, you might have heard this quite a lot in some of my videos and other people's videos. You're too sensitive. Another blame shifting, gaslighting phrase that's used so they don't take responsibility. It's your fault. If you weren't so sensitive, then you wouldn't be calling out their behaviour. If you weren't so sensitive, you could take the joke. If you weren't so sensitive, then their cruel words wouldn't hurt you. Number 3 is, I was only joking. No, they won't. They weren't expecting you to react in the way they did. They weren't joking. They were testing. They were trying to find out how invested you are in the relationship. These techniques are used sometimes during the idealization stage, these phrases, to test how invested you are. So their focus is on you to start with, and everything about you, everything they like about you, what you do, what you say, how you behave. And then they move into the devaluation. And if they haven't hooked you up enough, you might pick up that, oh, that's a bit weird. You liked this. You like the way I did this. You like the way I behave. You like the way I cook this meal, or I don't know, whatever it is that you do that they've praised you for. And all of a sudden, you're now telling me you don't like it. They weren't expecting you to react in the way that you did. They're trying to maneuver you from being invested in looking after yourself and protecting yourself and your self-esteem to now moving you around to protecting the relationship and ignoring you and your needs. Number 4 is, not everything is about you. It might be that you have some exciting news or an event and you want to talk about it, and you might have politely or patiently waited to share your news. But once they start to hear your tone, they cut you down with their remarks, confusing you. Not everything is about you. It can be quite crushing when you spent so much time listening, nurturing this relationship, and you're waiting for when is it my turn? When am I going to be reciprocated with this attention? Number 5, here we go again. It could be followed with, you have trust issues, ignoring their behavior, which has caused you to have these issues. And this is blame shifting. So they just change the narrative. This is nothing to do with them. This is all on you. We've been here before. Here we go again. You've got trust issues. Why have you got trust issues? Number 6 is, you make things out to be bigger than they are. Why do you always do this? If it wasn't this, it'd be something else. This is another blame shifting phrase. And you might have to stop and think when you've done this before and question if this is nothing or it is something worthy of you being upset about. And then manipulating you and telling you how you should be feeling. And while you're thinking about whether you are making this to be something bigger than it really is, it gives them enough time to add in some word salad. And you're left feeling like your brain has been through the blender. Number 7 is, we don't need anybody else. Or it could be a variation of this. It could be followed with, you're all I need, or we can take on the world. They're using these terms and phrases to alienate you from your friends and family and anyone else that you might trust. They can't risk you talking to other people who might say, that doesn't sound healthy. Number 8 is, I always talk about you, or I will always defend you. And they use this one to shift focus. You might be questioning their behaviour. They become the hero with these statements. They may use it during a devaluation to idealization maneuver, distracting you if you have become suspicious of infidelity or there's a reason not to trust them. If they're always telling everyone about you, then your suspicions or claims can't be true, can they? That they're not to be trustworthy or there's an infidelity happening. You might move back into that idealization stage, questioning yourself. How can you be thinking these thoughts when they're telling everybody else how amazing you are. The one part that you can't clarify is who that everybody is. And these words are really just smoke and mirrors distracting you. You only have their word for it that these conversations have taken place. Number 9 is, I'm the best partner, lover, boyfriend, aren't I? Who do you love more? I'm the only one who looks after you or recognizes who you really are. These statements are really to boost their fragile egos. Would you dare disagree with them? You can usually feel their vulnerability when they're saying this. Number 10, in the words of Anna Delvey of the Inventing Anna fame, you're so dramatic. Are you being dramatic, or is this another distraction tactic for you to question your behaviour and take the focus off them? So when you're putting 10k of debt onto a company credit card because it's the only way that you can get out of a hotel or country, and you don't have the money and you could lose your job, this is a fraudulent transaction you're raising concerns about, and you're asking if you're going to be repaid, is that being over dramatic? But these statements are designed to stop you thinking, and they're designed to get you to question yourself and not the abuser. Number 11, it's only because I love you. How special are you feeling now? They wouldn't do this for anyone else but you. These are conditional statements, and you will be expected to return the favour. There are so many things that are wrong with this statement. The first one being that they don't understand what love is or how to love. Their relationships are conditional. They do this on the condition that you return the favour multiple times over. Number 12 is that you're crazy. Why do you always, and then add in whatever the statement is after that. They minimise your feelings and say this is on you. You're not entitled to feel the way that you feel. The crazy part is you stop and listen to someone who lies as a full-time occupation. They are master manipulators. If their lips are moving, double check what's coming out. How dare you question them and their lies? You are the crazy one for not believing their unbelievable statements. Number 13 is, I'm sorry you feel that way. They aren't sorry. In fact, I used to train this statement as a way of not admitting liability for complaints handling. In another life many years ago, I worked for a large corporate, and this was a statement that we would teach our coordinators. It was done so that they would not take responsibility, but they would acknowledge that somebody else was upset. It isn't an apology. We couldn't have our staff admit liability for a claim without it being investigated by a team of experts. For the master manipulator, they wouldn't even investigate anything or any wrongdoing. This is smoke and mirrors. I can see you're upset. Perhaps it's the tears and the sobbing that gave it away, or the inability to sleep due to the stress of their bad behaviour has caused. It doesn't have to be like this, is number 14. And this statement is once again a way of getting you to question yourself. No, it doesn't have to be like this. No, you can stop caring. You can stop questioning what's going on and let them get on with their deception. Number 15 is, why are you so mad? And this is an undermining statement. It might be followed with a list of people who do the same thing and their partners, wives, husbands don't have an issue. And you're left believing, once again, that there's something wrong with you, and it isn't them. It might be that you're at an event and somebody else's husband, did you see how they were flirting? They were doing it. It's not me, it's you. Number 16 is, you don't understand. I know you probably don't understand, but what you don't understand is how some people can wander around and lie and cheat and then say that this is everybody else's fault. You don't understand what it is to be so empty inside. You actually might do if you've recently been discarded and you're looking in the mirror and not recognizing the person that's staring back at you. And number 17 is another Anna Delvey of Inventing Anna fame. Why are you being so unreasonable? You aren't. It's another way of them saying you're stopping them from getting what they want. And what you do is you question your behaviours and not theirs. So you might have heard some of the statements and thought, wow, that's gaslighting. These statements are to confuse you, give you brain fog, make you doubt yourself, create fear and terror. They help you or coerce you into keeping silent. They make you feel vulnerable. You might find yourself apologizing and second guessing. They create guilt and feelings of not being good enough, being understood or lonely, and you believe the abuser. These phrases are used to make you feel there's something wrong with you, and the tactics to deflect from their behaviour, making you feel that you're mentally unstable or that you're overreacting. You might recognise some of these phrases, you might have heard them, you might have questioned your own reality. Use these situations, these phrases, to understand or understand what's happening to you. If you're still in a relationship with this person or you're still in contact with them, don't tell them what you know that they're doing. Don't try and ask them or get them to take responsibility. The whole reason that they do this is to avoid responsibility. So some of the things you can do is start to reprogram the self-talk. You might hear or blame yourself. Listen to those voices and see if you can recognize who is saying them. And then you can question whether it's true or false. Listen to the way the sentences are constructed. Is this you speaking, or is this a programming that's been given to you? And you can do this by playing it out in a third person. So if you've got a situation that you want to clarify, write it out or speak as if a friend has approached you and told you this is what's happening to them. How would you explain to them? What would your advice be? Coming out of these relationships, you have more questions than answers, and it's easy to slip into this rumination process. It's continuously thinking of the same thought, and they tend to be really dark and sad. It's like being sucked into a vortex. It can be really dangerous for your mental health, and it prolongs your ability to think and process your emotions. It's really important to stay grounded, staying out of your head and being in your body. In your body, you can process what's happened. In your head, your mind is going and looking for the reasons why this person loves you, the reasons why this person cares for you. You've been told that the abuse was love. So breathing and counting, which is a box breathing, is going to help balance the stress hormones. It's going to help calm down your system. From the list you've heard, there are other terms like blame shifting and masking and smoke and mirrors. I'm going to put a link below in the description box to an article I wrote before I wrote my book, The A to Z of Emotional Abuse. Think about writing out your story and then using that article to play bingo. So it's got a list of some of the terms that you might hear coming out of these relationships, like cognitive dissonance and word salad and circular conversations. So what you do is you write your story out and then you play bingo with it. So for each event that happens, you then say, well, that was blame shifting, or that was masking, or that was, and you list what it was. So it might be that you went to Angela's wedding and your partner was flirting with all the bridesmaids, and he said, and then you would find that term or you find a label that fits. Once you're able to look at this in a way that this is abuse, you can stop protecting the abuser and justifying their behavior. And you start to realize it was an abusive relationship. Most of us have experienced some form of trauma in our lives, but we don't treat people in the same way. With this story, you're able to remind yourself it was abuse. And when you can call it out as abuse, your healing speeds up. If you found this video helpful in some way, please like and share and subscribe. I'll link my course, It Stops Here, It Stops Now, along with another link to some free resources that you can get from my website. I'm sending you loads and loads of love.